Those at the back can hear me? Good? Yeah, thank you. Okay, first of all, it is a great joy for me to be with all of you here. And I've been knowing Maria since several years. And how many of you know about Venerable Geshe Dorji? Raise your hands. Geshe Dorji. Just raise your hands. Geshe Dorji. Raise your hands.
Geshe Dorji, who has come to Finland many times, you know. Yeah, some of you know.
Okay. How many of you don't know him? Raise your hands. Okay. Just for information, the Geshe Dorji, of course, he is a great inspiration for me since my childhood, and particularly those who know him so well. We came to learn just this morning, and actually he was sick for about a year, a little over a year, and then this year he had a surgery. It went so well, and then Tibet House, where I am working, Tibet House was very fortunate to have him after his surgery for his recuperation there in Tibet House for about, I think, for about a week or two. It was a great honor for Tibet House to have him there. And then after that, his kindness and his aspiration to help others is so intense that he was keen to just be active again, despite the time needed for recuperation. And yes, everything went so well. And then of course, I came to learn that he was, of course, again traveling, benefiting so many people. And recently he was here in Finland. And just this morning, before I came here to this hall, I came to learn that again he was hospitalized for about a week. Now he's out. And let us all pray, because there's something which is so unique about Geshe Dorji is that tremendous warmth is there with him, tremendous warmth, just wanting to help others. And then you wouldn't believe, if you look at the manner in which he was helping so many people, particularly the people who really deserve the warmth, compassion, benefit, and so forth. He's always there. He's always there. So therefore, let us all pray for his the good health, recovery from his ill health, and that whatever his wishes be fulfilled, accomplished spontaneously without any hindrance. Okay, this is what I'd like to first request you to say prayers for him, and that his benevolent activities flourish. Okay, this is one thing that I'd like to share with you. Then the other thing that I'd like to share with you here is that how this program came into being. Last year, I had a very busy travel schedule, and then because that had it been the case that I'm not associated with Tibet House, then it's fine. But then being in Tibet House, involved in administration, I found that spending so much time just in one stretch is little impediment for the work of Tibet House. So I decided to split the travel into two, with a gap in between. Within this gap, I can be in Tibet House. And this year, we already planned that there's the whole visit split into two, and the gap was kept so that I can go to, I've been Tibet House there, and the gap was filled by Finland. Okay, so particularly when coming from Maria, I cannot say no. Yeah, so she came and requested that we have a small group, if you can come, and then it's coming from such a pure heart. How can I say no, right? So therefore, I said okay. Then the gap disappeared. Then the travel became even longer. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it is such great joy for me to meet each one of you here, and I'm extremely thankful to Maria, and I learned from Maria that the Zarina really helped her so much for coordinating this program, and then we have the Stina also helped so much, and then there are many others who are helping the Maria with this. And then yesterday, one thing which I like to share with you, right, is that when I was in France, I got a message from Maria saying that, Geshe, I'm very sorry, I cannot come to the airport. And then, okay, then she said that, but my brother will be there. This was what I could not believe. Usually people like my age, okay, in the 20s is fine, with the 30s, 40s, 50s, so with my age, usually brother-sister, the relationship is little not too healthy, is over the family issues, all are there. And then this first time, it's so pleasant to hear, my brother will be there, right? Wow, it's something which I couldn't believe, that the sister is commanding the brother to be there. Wow, I couldn't believe it. And then coming there, then I saw the Becca there, Becca, Johannes, and then the Alex there with the traditional Tibetan scarf, yellow, all Maria taught. Not only that you should be there, you should be the traditional scarf. So this is a symbol, for me, is a symbol of a great family, a tradition of Finland, a beautiful tradition of Finland, where the family remains so close to each other, even when you become even if you become adult, and then so you have your own family, still the whole family remains so intact and friendly. This is so beautiful. And just before I came to Finland, in fact I mentioned this to Pekka and Johannes and Mary also yesterday, and Alex was also there, about the Singapore. The first time I heard about the Singapore's first Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew. What he said was that he became the first president of the independent Singapore. What he said that I have only two agendas for the nation: that every citizen should have a house to live in, and every citizen should have work, that they will get a work to earn their living. Two things. I was so thrilled, fascinated. This is the Bodhisattva's aspiration. I was just lost in admiration. Amazing. This is the spirit of leadership. And then I oftentimes mention this in my classes in Singapore, Malaysia, even in India also. I mentioned this so many times. And then one Singaporean, the Indian, but now Singaporean, sent me, just 2 days ago, a WhatsApp message saying that the concept which Lee Kuan Yew, which you admire so much, was actually exactly what you find in Finland, where you're going to go. And she sent me some of the write-ups of the social the settings of Finland, and I quickly browsed through, because this is one of my passions, to see the compassionate actions on a large scale. And I just browsed through. I was so fascinated, thrilled that, wow, it's amazing. It's not that the world is dark. The world is still, you find lights in the world, Finland is one of these places I really admire. Okay, so with this, for me, it is great joy for me to meet each one of you, and most of you are already aware in Buddhism, and particularly with Tibetan Buddhism, there's a tremendous emphasis on the teacher-student relationship. So here, I would suggest that it's going to be more like the exchange, not really as a teaching, not really as a teacher-student relationship. Just no rush, no rush. In fact, the tendency for us is that when you adopt a culture, when you adopt a thinking pattern of another system, another country, or another, say, the tradition of another place, so then we rashly jump to whatever they mimic what they're doing. So like, or deciding who your root guru meaning the main teacher, spiritual teacher. So just so rashly going there, everybody's saying that I have this, he's my root guru, she's my root guru, and then, oh, then something's wrong with me, I don't have a root guru. Then you jump to root guru. This is not at all the right approach. This is not at all the right approach. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he always advised the people that no rush to look for root gurus, no rush to look for your main spiritual teacher. Your job is study well. Finally, what do you want? Begin from there. For example, this 6-day program, let us begin with the basic inspiration, the basic quest that each one of us has. What do you want in your life? This is how we have to begin. What do you want in your life? If it's not clear, I'll make it clear. How many of you had the experience of day one you were born on this earth? How many of you had the experience of day one you were born on this earth? Raise your hands. No experience, only one, 2, 3. No, don't speak for others, speak for yourself. Raise your hands. All those who were born and who also had one day, the first day on this earth, raise your hands. Now speak for yourself, don't speak for others. Everyone, don't say this. Yes, I'm the one. Raise hands. Raise hands. Okay, we all. Okay, day one, how many of you cried? Raise hands. If you did not cry, somebody will slap you. Because if you don't cry, respiration is a problem. So they slap you to make you cry. And how did you cry? What made you cry? This will tell you what you aspire, right? Did you cry? How many of you cried, saying that, oh, the other baby needs milk? How many of you cried like this? Raise your hands. Other infant needs milk. Other infant is feeling cold. How many cried like this? Raise your hands. Or how many cried that I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm slapped. Right? Okay, which means this is how we began our life. Let us not forget this. Let us not forget this. In other words, we all aspire that I should not have problems. I should not have the proper hunger, thirst, cold, slap. And I want the maximum happiness. The moment somebody you would later identify as a mother embraces you, you could feel the warmth. This is what we are seeking. And the cold and the thirst and hunger, you will want to shun. This is how we are born. This is who we are. In other words, what we seek is we seek to shun miseries. We seek to achieve happiness. This is who we are. Let us not forget this. Tell me, what degree of suffering you want to get rid of? 10%? 50%? 100%? Tell me, what degree of suffering do you want to get rid of?
100%.
If possible, 100%. Whether it's possible or not, this question. The next one is, what degree of happiness are you seeking? Tell me, 10%, 50%, or 100%? If possible, 100%. This is who we are. Our agenda is very clear now. Our agenda is very clear. Some people go for masseur. Some people, they are the musicians. Some people, they are mathematicians. Some people, they are chef. Some people, they are the dancers. Some people, they are, say, the politicians. What made them go into these various disciplines is with the intention that with this I'll be happy. With this my suffering will be minimized. This is the drive. Tell me, this drive is true for the girls or the boys?
Both.
Both. This drive is true for the Finnish or the non-Finnish? Both. This drive is true for the Buddhist or non-Buddhist? Both. This drive is true for the believers or the non-believers? Both. You're getting it? In other words, this is the reality. This is the drive of all beings. All beings, whether believer, non-believer, boys, girls, educated, uneducated. This is the basic drive of all of us. We should not forget this. Now, if this is what you're seeking, any system that you approach, any system that you pick up meant to achieve that aspiration is your path. Any system that you adopt meant to achieve that aspiration is your path. This is what we need to know. Okay, so therefore, the Buddha Shakyamuni, he appeared on this earth not to invent any system, but to just share what he discovered, what he did not invent, what he discovered. He came to share this with us. A system meant to minimize your suffering, if possible, make it zero, and a system to enrich your happiness, if possible, 100%. This is what the Buddha Shakyamuni appeared on this earth. So the point is that coming here, the best would be if we come with a clean slate. Clean slate means that don't come with any baggage, with any belief system and so forth. If possible, come with a very clean slate. Okay, finally my aspiration is to get rid of my sufferings and to have the maximum happiness. Okay, now what can we do to achieve that? So this is how we have to come. Okay, with this in mind, the fourth session, okay, 14th, the 19th, what about 15th, 16th?
This is between the 14th and 18th we have this
to Thursday. Okay, yes. Okay, so which means our classes always begin at 10:30.
Yes.
Oh, which means we have only 4 teaching sessions. Good. Okay, so the morning is more like intro. So okay, so how we began is that what is our aspiration? What we learned is our aspiration deep inside me. Aspiration, each one of us, deep inside me, the aspiration is to minimize the suffering to zero and to have the happiness, the maximum. Okay, now the question, is it possible? Is it possible?
No.
Just speak your mind. It doesn't matter. Speak your mind. No. Anybody else? Huh?
I think
yes. I think yes. Some say yes. Some say I think yes. Some say no. Some say I think no. Okay. What about others? Okay. This is where Charles Charles Darwin and the Buddha Shakyamuni diverge. Charles Darwin said that it's impossible to get rid of all the suffering. It's impossible to have the maximum happiness because we are born with the instincts. We are born with the human instincts. And these human instincts is nothing bad. Human instincts are the natural gifts, gifts from the human evolution. Gifts from human evolution. This is the Charles Darwin's view. Okay, 2008, I was in America to work on the book of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to be jointly authored with Professor Paul Ekman, a psychologist, a renowned psychologist, Professor Paul Ekman, who is in fact respected as the pioneer of the microfacial expression, reading the microfacial expression. How many of you heard about this professor, Professor Paul Ekman? Okay, he's a very renowned psychologist and he has been respected highly for that matter. So once he was coming to India, and I know him so much since 2008. So when I come to know that he was coming to India, then I sent a request through his friend that he give a public talk to be organized by Tibet House. And then I said that please send the photograph, the brief CV. By the way, in Finland, what do you call it? CV or resume? Both. Wow, very good. Okay, CV. And my friend said that, Geshe, what are you going to do with this? I said, I'm going to advertise because to draw the public, to draw the attention of the public, I need to advertise. For that matter, I need these things. He said, please don't advertise. I said, why? Then how can I draw the public? He said, no, if you advertise, it's very dangerous because he's being in the list of the targets, of the terrorists, they target him because he's been hired by the CIA, Central Intelligence of America, to detect, to arrest the terrorists. So the terrorists they are after him. So we cannot advertise that, and particularly in India. India, there's so much terrorists coming from the other places. So therefore, you cannot advertise. I said, okay, but now how to draw the public? So I said that there's going to be a public talk by a renowned professor, psychologist, Professor Roger, and then in the bracket I said name changed, and then I said, then people became even more curious, why name changed, right? the audience simply multiplied because they're so curious, why name changed? Why he is so popular? Why this person is very special? Okay, so I was with him for 5 days to work on the book by His Holiness and by him. And the office of His Holiness sent me there to make sure that His Holiness's voice is well reflected there, it's not altered. So I was there for about 5 days. And then he was being so kind. Professor Paul Ekman was so kind to entertain me for all the 5 evenings. And one evening he brought his psychologist colleagues, and then he asked me to introduce a little bit about Buddhist philosophy myself to his friends. So I taught about Buddhist philosophy of how to get rid of suffering, to have the maximum happiness and so forth, and by curbing, by the discarding or eliminating the negative thoughts and so forth. And one lady psychologist raised her hand and said that what you said is ideally it is not really possible to get rid of fear, to get rid of anger, to get rid of attachment. It's not really possible because these are the instincts. We can't really do anything with them, number one. Number two, these instincts are required for us. According to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, these instincts are required. For example, fear is required. If you don't have the fear, then when there's a tiger, you come in contact with the tiger, then you will not run. And the tiger will eat you up. Likewise, there's a snake there, you will not run. Without the fear, you will not run. The fear makes you run. One. Number two, anger. Without anger, how are you going to survive? Anger helps you to push away what is unconducive for you, what is in danger for you. Push these unconducive factors. This is the job of the anger. And without the anger, even if the unconducive factors come to you, then still you are smiling. And then you'll be killed by unconducive factors. And the attachment is required to gather the conducive factors. Without the attachment, then you will not know, okay, I need food, I'm hungry. So what do? You don't know how to get food because there's no attachment for the food. So attachment is required for you to survive. So it is who does not have these facilities, attachment, anger, aversion, fear, these people do not survive. Survival of the fittest. Those people who are fit to survive with these attributes of the instincts, they can survive. Those who are deprived of these facilities, they will perish, they will die. This is how it works. Okay, so from this what we learned is that according to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, that the negative thoughts that we have, what we call as negative, according to Charles Darwin, they are not really negative. Although they are not really pleasant also. For example, anger, are you pleasant? Do you feel angry? Okay, the morning you wake up, how many you wake up in the morning? Okay, today I'm so excited, I'll be angry. I'm very excited, I'll be very angry today. Right? How many of you are looking forward to become angry? Nobody. Which means that the very state of the anger is unpleasant there. When there's unpleasant feeling, nobody wants to have it. So the Charles Darwin admits that this is not a pleasant feeling, but this is required. There's no choice. This is what made you survive. Okay, this is one thing. Then say way before Charles Darwin, 2,500 years ago, the Buddha Shakyamuni appeared on this earth. And he said that anger, finally your job is to survive. If this is your job, to survive, anger is not necessary. If this is your job to survive, attachment is not necessary. Fear is not necessary, the Buddha said. This is something so important. And then he did not say that, no, anger, fear, attachment, they are very destructive. You have to get rid of them. Okay, what? Why should I get rid of them? Because they are destructive. How they are destructive? How they are destructive? Because it gives pain in you. It creates problems in the community. But how to get rid of them? No, you have to get rid of them. No, how? I don't know how. Okay, now, why? I know. But how? I don't know. How? No, you have to get rid of them. This is not the Buddha's approach. If this is an approach, no, you have to get rid of them, and not showing how, right? This is not a good system. A good system is where, say, okay, you see the demerit of having these thoughts. Yes, but how to get rid of them? Then there must be the answer. If the answer is not satisfactorily given, this is not a good system. So the Buddha, because that the how comes into being, then the psychology, a very profound, vast, very sophisticated psychology came into being. So therefore in Buddhism, there's a tremendous emphasis on the psychology and tremendous emphasis on the philosophy. Okay, so this is how we begin. And then this morning I was discussing, because this retreat is the Bodhicitta retreat. And the first Bodhicitta retreat we began was in the 2013. And this, I think, is the 17th. 17th in the series. And then I asked Maria, this retreat, it is usually the first retreat we had was for like whole 15 days. And whole 15 days, of course, we cover lots of materials. And then I asked Maria, what do you do? Should I cover all the materials? In just 6 days. If I have to cover all the materials, I have to compromise with the details. If I cover the details, I have to compromise the vastness. So I told Maria, you choose. And then Maria said that, Maria actually put it very nicely, that the Finnish people, they are very intellectual. This is how she began. Finnish people, they are very intellectual, meaning that their mind is very sharp. Okay, their mind is very sharp, which means that I should speak more on emptiness. Okay, the philosophy side. Okay, now the point is how the philosophy came into being and why the philosophy. It is not just how. Usually modern science explains how. It does not explain why. And whereas the Buddha explained how and why. Okay. By no means it should be a way and means to prove the superiority of the Buddha's teachings. It's totally irrelevant. The point is that we have to know. We have to know what is how and what is why. If you know these things, finally your thinking becomes very clear. And with how, you know the methodology, you know the mechanism. If you know why, then you will know the purpose. The purpose, okay, this knowledge has a relevance to eradicating my fears of life, eradicating my anxiety, stress and so forth, and to acquire the maximum happiness which I'm seeking. So if you know why, then you will know the purpose. If you know how, you become knowledgeable, but you may not be able to relate that to your life. If you know why, then you will not only become knowledgeable, you will also become, say, happy to see that this has a relevance to my life. Okay. While I was traveling from Vietnam to Italy, Vietnam to Italy or Italy to France? Okay, Italy to France. Just recently, my seatmate was a very young boy, I think 1 year older than Johannes. Johannes 16.
19.
Huh?
19.
Okay, then 2 years younger than Johannes. There was a boy sitting next to me. And then I just sat very silent by myself. He was silent by himself, busy with his mobile. And then in the middle of the flight attendant came, and then he talked to the flight attendant in English. Either I thought that he was going to speak in Italian, because we were flying from Italy to France, and he looks like Italian, but he spoke in English. And I said, where are you from? He said, I'm Italian. Why do you speak in English? Why not Italian? Then he said that the what? Flight attendant is French. Okay. Then we started to talk. So in a way, it was like a trigger for a talk. Then I came to sense that he has some affinity for philosophy. Then I asked him, they say, why study philosophy? And he said that, and I said also that a good philosophy is a philosophy which invites all questions. We should be open to all questions from any discipline. I was emphasizing so much, including modern science, quantum physics. Then what he said was that, but the philosophy that I learned is more confined to the Christian theology. And it does not really entertain the questions from modern science. Okay, fine, it is not my business whether it's Christianity, but my job is, my appreciation is that a philosophy which invites any questions from any discipline. This is my the fondness. Then I told him, okay, tell me, seems like you're interested in philosophy. Tell me, what's the benefit of studying philosophy? Okay, guess what he said. He said that it'll make you knowledgeable, number one. Number two, it'll make your thought processes very clear to express things very clearly to other people. Then what else? That's it. To make you knowledgeable. And then when you speak with other people, you can express more clearly. You can articulate your thought process. I said, okay, now see, there may be other purposes as well. For example, say the morning you wake up, and say if you like cheesecake, the morning you wake up and the mother brings the cheesecake for you, right? Wow, it just elates your mind. And say you hate plain cakes, and the mother brings a plain cake. The moment you see it, it will simply make your mind go down, right? Feel so bored, unhappy. So they just finally, what do you want? I want happiness. I don't want suffering. And this happiness and suffering, these two are the resultant states. And this is determined by seeing the cheesecake, you're happy. Happiness is triggered. And seeing the plain cake, then the feeling of boredom seeps in. So look, your state of mind does not have the freedom. You are happy, not happy, determined by the cake. You don't have the freedom. So if you know the cake situation so well, so to know what this cake is, what this object is, to know it so well, then on that basis, you can manipulate your happiness. You can remove your suffering. You can get your happiness. So you know that this is coming from the object. Object triggers this thing. Object has a tremendous role to play. So for that matter, you have to know the object so well. And what we are perceiving, what we are seeing, the philosophy says that what we are seeing may not be the reality. So by seeing the reality very clearly, this will give us a very pleasant feeling, which we were seeking. So this is why the study of philosophy plays such an important role in giving you the happiness, in getting rid of miseries. Then number two, saying that even if I'm so keen on cheesecake, the moment I see cheesecake, I become just so hyper, so excited. And then one day, I heard a very tragic news of the loss of my father. And suddenly I come to my classroom, someone says, oh, Dorji, it's your birthday, cheesecake. Still I'm not excited, because my basic mind, the spirit, has gone down over hearing the demise of my father. So there, say, it's not just the object per se. The object is not 100% that determines whether you're happy or unhappy. Again, this subject, your mind, basic state of mind also plays a very important role. So for that matter, we have to know the object so clearly. To know the object clearly, we need to know philosophy, we need to know physics. And to know the subject so well, we need to know neuroscience, we need to know psychology. So it is for this reason that in Buddhism there's a tremendous emphasis on the philosophy and psychology. And to make these two wisdom so refined, the logic is introduced. So what is mathematics for the physics today? What is mathematics? What mathematics does to physics, to maintain the rigor of the physics. Physics without mathematics, the rigor is not there. So in order to maintain the rigor of the physics, the mathematics must be there. So what the mathematics does to maintain the rigor of the physics, the study of logic does to keep the philosophy and psychology very rigorous. So in Buddhism, there's a tremendous emphasis on the study of philosophy, psychology, and the logic. Okay. And then this young boy, I was so impressed. He was just like 70 years old, and yet he was so impressed. Wow, I did not hear this before. I did not hear this. How the study of philosophy has a relevance to my basic happiness of my life. This is amazing. Then the flight landed. And then we went to the baggage claim. Then I met his father. I told his father that you have a brilliant son. He said, yes, my son is very bright. Then I told him that on the plane we had a very good discussion. And then he said that my son already told me, informed about your discussion. Your discussion is indeed very interesting. And then his sister also came, very young, 1 year younger than him. Came, and she was also smiling, coming to see me, smiling. I said, your brother is very smart. She said, yes, I already heard your discussions. She's also very interested in philosophy. Okay, so this is the basic framework. This is the basic framework of how we should begin. And of course, the whole six days, from this what we learn is that, say, one is the philosophy, how to finally see the reality. What we are seeing is not reality. What we are seeing is not reality. And the reality is something else. And what we are seeing, since the reality is not seeing, what we are seeing is coming from where? There's a question. That's not reality. What we are seeing means the Dorji there, right? That's not the reality. But you are seeing something. If that's not reality, where is this coming from? This question. Where is this coming from? If that's not reality. For example, say, if I'm hallucinating, by the way, how many of you have seen people hallucinating? Huh? Oh, many of you.
Every night.
That's interesting, huh?
Every night. In dreams.
This is not hallucination.
It's practically same.
No. Okay, let's say, what I'm saying is, what is a cheesecake? What is a chocolate cake? Practically same. Don't say this. These two are not same, these two are different. You're getting it? Just say, what is cheesecake? Cheesecake is cheesecake. Likewise, a dream, keep it dream. And I understand what you're saying. The dream is a form of hallucination. It is not hallucination, but it's a form of hallucination. It's, just as the hallucination is created by your own mind, even the dream is also created by mind. And particularly, as you said, for example, having nightmares, going through nightmares in a dream, they're all purely created by my mind, where the hallucination is created by my mind. Yes, that's very true.
Isn't the basis of Buddhist epistemology that what we perceive is real, the sense basis? That's the reality.
Okay.
The karmic afflictions accumulate how we see and perceive reality.
Your name?
Thomas.
Okay, Thomas, what you do is, comes clean slate. Clean slate means, according to Buddhism, right?
Not any preconceptions.
Okay, yes. Don't bring any preconceptions for the time being, right? So meanwhile,
Then I cannot even talk.
listen. Come with a very clean software, the hardware. Don't bring any software. Okay, software I'm going to implant. You're getting it? And then later on, you can bring your old software also. Then you can tally. For the time you don't bring any software. Come with a very powerful hardware. However, any software you put, it works. You're getting it? Come with a clean slate for the time being. And then see if it works. See if it works. Say what we are discussing here. You're getting it? This is very important. This is very important. And so the point is, how we start is that whatever we're going to learn here the 6 days, make sure that you understand it yourself. Don't say that, oh, according to Buddhism, according to philosophy, according to science. Don't come up with these borrowed knowledge.
it's tested empirically. I feel.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Not philosophy.
I agree with you. We have only 6 days, Thomas. Thomas, we have only 6 days. What I'm saying is that I agree with you. I was like you before. I was like you. I was, so impatient because I have a hot blood, very young hot blood. I want to say everything. This was who I was before. You getting it? This is very good.
Sokpo blood.
Yeah, this, huh?
Sokpo blood.
Sopa blood. What is sopa blood?
Sokpo.
Sopa blood. Sopa means stubborn.
Mongol. Sokpo.
Okay. Sopa, there are 2 meanings in Tibetan. One is Mongol. One is stubborn. I was also stubborn. Thomas, you are not only the one. I was also stubborn. Today I'm not too sure, but when I was younger, like your age, I was very stubborn like you. Okay, so what I'm saying is that let us come with a clean slate. Okay, clean slate, and if you have knowledge, particularly you feel very confident, keep it. Don't destroy this. Keep it. It's very precious. You're getting it? Keep it. And then during question answer sessions, bring this up. Okay. So with this, the point that I'm sharing with you is that what we are seeing, like hallucination. Hallucination is all what our mind creates. How many of you agree with me? Hallucination, what we are seeing because of hallucination is purely what your own mind is creating. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Okay, a good philosophy is a philosophy where what you learned and what you're going to paraphrase is what makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't just copy, don't just mimic, don't just quote somebody. You're getting it? This is so important. You must be convinced. You must be convinced of what you're saying. This is very important. Okay, this was back in 2004 when I was in England, when I was in Cambridge for about the little close to 3 months of the study and a fellowship in Cambridge, Girton College, for about 3 months fellowship there. And there I met a physicist, a very brilliant physicist. And he is very difficult to talk to. Nobody can talk to him, right? Nobody dares to talk to him. The moment you talk to him, the moment you say one sentence, he will say there's internal contradiction there. Nobody dares to talk to him. I don't know how his wife is talking to him. I don't know. Anyway, his wife's thinking is very different. Very different, luckily. If these two are in the same wavelength, his wife cannot really talk to him. One sentence, finish. You said there's internal contradiction. Then he feels so bored. Okay, this is who he was. So he said that in this world, he was telling me, in this world, only physics is education. Okay, how many are from physics? Raise your hands. Undergrad physics, raise your hand. No one. Including me, no one. So which means that we are not from education. He said that only physics is education in this world. Thomas, you're not from physics.
No, I'm a logical positivist. They believe that you can...
No, just say yes, no, this is my question. Just say yes, no. No, stay there, right? Stay there. So, okay. Then I told him, why? Why only physics education? Thomas, listen what he said. Why only physics education? He gave a brilliant answer. He said, only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. Wow. Then I told him, okay, now I'm relieved. If this is what you say, otherwise you are making a blunt statement without any support. At least you give a reason. I'm relieved. I said, listen to what the Buddha has to say. Then I quoted the Buddha. The Buddha said, wise people and the monks, just as the goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them into practice, not simply because you respect me. I quoted this. Then he remained silent for a few seconds. Then he said, "Oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist." Okay, so the point is that this should be an approach. This should be an approach that finally whatever we say, particularly when you say on your behalf, make sure that you understand it. What you're saying should make sense to you. Whether it makes sense to others, it doesn't matter. It must make sense to you. Only then you can quote or you can say. Otherwise, any information that you might have, keep them, okay, yeah, he's saying this, but then I learned from this book, from this teacher, it's like this. Of course, I'm not really convinced, but then still, okay. But keep them as the borrowed knowledge. But when you speak on your behalf, make sure that it makes sense to you. Okay, this is very important. Okay, with this, what I'd like to begin with here is, okay, what I'd like to begin with you here is the basic question, the philosophy, psychology, unless and until, including physics, unless and until it has relevance to your life, it has relevance to make your life, to give a quality to your life, then it's just another piece of knowledge. There's no benefit as such. Also, be it philosophy, psychology, metaphysics, physics, neuroscience, chemistry, and geography or history, sociology, whatever subject you're studying, just see if it is relevant to the quality of your life. If it has, wonderful. If not, we have to reconsider. We need to rethink as to, why am I doing that in the first place? Okay. So with this, the basic question that we came out, okay, this, keep in mind that it's going to be like an interactive class. The remaining 6 days is going to be like interactive class. Sometimes I may ask questions to you, I may invite questions from you, right? Okay. And meanwhile, keep in mind that if you have questions which may not be directly relevant to what I'm talking, then be patient, keep them with you, and later on we have questions and sessions. I'll be very happy to entertain those questions as well during the allocated times. Otherwise, say if there's one point which I said, terminology, it can be a terminological problem. It can be problem of hermeneutics, problem of the semantics. So then feel free to ask me, okay, you said this word, I do not understand it, what is that? Whatever clarification you require on the spot. Don't hesitate, just bring them up and ask me. Otherwise, if your questions related, but if it does not really, without understanding of which, doesn't really hamper you understanding what I'm talking, keep these questions for the later discussions. One. Another thing is that the group discussions, which the Maria so kindly allocated the group discussions, the different groups. During the group discussions, what I would suggest is that I would suggest people who are already introduced to Buddhist philosophy or modern philosophy, physics, and so forth. So those, I would suggest you to be, at least for the first 2 days, today, tomorrow, or 3 days, be a little patient, and at least what we covered in the class, sometimes me without books, I can cover many materials. So make sure that you make note of the points, and then in the group discussions, see that at least these points are covered, so that people during the group discussion, the people, even those who are less exposed to the Buddhist philosophy, modern science and so forth, that they get share of, they really benefit out of your participation there. I would suggest you not to jump into the complicated questions right in day 1 or day 2. And the complicated questions, I would be very happy to entertain those complicated questions that you might be having from your last 20 years, 10 years of studies and practice Dhamma. I'll be very happy to entertain them on day 4th, 5th and 6th. More like a private questions which have been bothering you for the last 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever. Right? I'll be happy to entertain them. But in the group discussion, I would suggest initially don't bring these questions there. If you bring these questions, many of the newcomers, they'll feel lost. And then we are not really of, the rendering benefit to the people. So then it is like harming them. And then if they feel discouraged, then they will not feel joy in being a part of this group. They feel that I'm just no one, I don't understand anything, they're so advanced, right? The thing is that it's a matter of habituation. It's a matter of habituation, particularly amongst those people who are new, who do not know anything, who cannot take part in the group discussion. Once they're exposed to this philosophy for like 2-3 years, they may become the rising stars. We never know. Right? They may become much better than those who are only exposed to like 5 years, 10 years, right? Okay, so what I'm saying is be kind. Particularly those people who are already exposed to this philosophy for the last like many years, be kind to the newcomers and at least let them speak. Don't dominate. Don't dominate, speak yourself all the time, and the other people, they feel so scared. Because I don't know anything, I have no question there. Even if the person has questions, my questions are so small, their questions are very sophisticated, I don't even understand what they're asking. Then they feel discouraged. So that way, we are not really helping. The whole purpose of the Buddha's teachings is the very sophisticated philosophy with a good heart. The good heart, finally, good heart in the philosophy, which is more important? Good heart is more important. And good heart brings the harmony. Good heart brings your immune system. Good heart makes you happy. And how to bring this good heart? Good heart has 2 kinds. One is intense good heart, and the other one is profound good heart. There are 2. These 2 are very different. Intense good heart and profound good heart. To give you a simple example, analogy, what is intense good heart? For example, if we see somebody who has the shivering, terrible cold, -20, -30 in Finland, and somebody's outside there, shivering, and then you see that, then you become so emotional, you feel so compassionate, then you just feel like crying. This is known as intense good heart. It is not necessarily profound good heart. It's intense good heart. What is profound good heart? Say for example, you're also a young boy, like a Johannes, or a young girl. What's this young girl? 11 years, 10 years old? Huh? Rinzin, what's the boy's name? Elo, how old? 10? Huh? 8. Your son?
Yes.
Okay. Elo, 8 years, and Rinzin, 10 years. Okay. So like this, say you are of that age, and you see this another child almost dying because of this terrible cold, -30 degrees centigrade outside, and you feel so compassionate, you just feel like crying. You tell mom, please adopt this child. Okay, what is that? Intense compassion is there. It may not be profound. Don't forget it. How do we know it's profound or not? Okay, then this child, your mother says, okay, I'll adopt. Yes, because you said it, I'll adopt. Child is adopted, and the child is a genius, and then sent to school, and then everybody's giving attention to the child, not to you. Then you start having a little bit of jealousy, right? Okay, You see? And then the school is so fascinated by this child and says that, okay, we'll help you if your parents they give you a scholarship, we'll help you to get enrollment in Harvard University in England, in Cambridge, no, in America, or in Oxford or Cambridge in England. You choose. And you come to your parents, yes, of course, yes, I'll give the scholarship, please help him or her to get the admission there. And then you are getting admission in a very simple college. And the adopted one is getting a scholarship and enrollment there in Harvard, right? And you are in a very simple college, not a good college, university in the Finland, but a very simple one. And if the feeling is that, wow, I'm so proud of my brother, I'm so proud of my sister that she got admission in Harvard, then I don't really care about where I am. I'm so proud of. If this is what is happening to you, your compassion is not only intense, it's very profound. Profound means, it is on the surface. There's a fire on the grass. Fire on the grass from the outside is so scary. The moment you go there, the fire is gone. Nothing's left there. It's very shallow. Likewise, compassion can be very intense on the surface, but it can be very shallow, right? The moment you go into the depth, then it disappears. Instead of compassion, jealousy can come. That is the indication that the earlier compassion, which otherwise seemed to be so intense, is very shallow. You're getting it? Okay. Now the point is that finally your compassion and the love, somebody who is so loving, so caring towards others, that is the happiest person. And yet, that compassion has various degrees of profundity. Some are very profound and some are very shallow. Okay, so what makes the compassion very profound is the philosophy. So the philosophy should be the ground for the compassion, not the compassion as the ground for the philosophy. If in the philosophy that we're going to study, the group discussions, with this rigorous exchange of philosophy and so forth, finally what's the purpose? If this makes you a very unhappy person, right? We just try to suppress the other person, you don't know anything, and then the other person will not like you. And then you meet the other person during the lunchtime, other person will feel, sadness to see you. And you see that nobody loves me. So what's the point of your philosophy? Your philosophy makes you unhappy. The philosophy is the ground for your happiness, for your compassion. Compassion is ground for your happiness. If the happiness is not growing out of that, this philosophy is harming you. If without the philosophy, you come here, everybody will smile at you like what they do to other people. Now with your philosophy, everybody stops smiling at you, which means that the philosophy is harming you. The point is that the philosophy, we should always keep in mind your basic agenda. How do we know that? Day one you are born. How were you born? Day one, you cried. You do not say, my philosophy is Buddhist philosophy. My philosophy is Aristotle philosophy. My philosophy is the Albert Einstein's relativity theory. Nobody came up with this. Everybody just cried with the emotion. Philosophy is no emotion. Everybody cried with the emotion. That's emotion which triggered this emotion determines who you are. And this emotion, positive, negative. Negative, grounded on ignorance. Positive, grounded on valid thought process. And within the valid thought process, how profound is your emotion? Some very profound and some very shallow, that is determined by the basic, the philosophy. Even the physics is a form of philosophy. Even the physics is a form of philosophy. Philosophy with mathematics, that is physics. Philosophy with mathematics and substantiated with experiments, that is physics. Again, it's a philosophy. So the philosophy, very profound, then your happiness is very profound. So finally, let us not forget that for me, the philosophy, my happiness is number one. And my happiness is determined by my emotional states. And my emotional states are determined by my thought processes. Okay, so with this, what I'd like to share with you here is the first thing that we need to begin with is whether or not, okay, how we are born. What we said, do you agree with me that how we're born is we born crying. When we cry, how we cried, we do not cry for, oh, the other baby must be hungry, thirsty, or must be somebody must have slapped him or her. We did not cry like this. We cried, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, okay, I'm cold, feeling cold. This is how we cried. So, which means that this emotional state, these tears come when you become emotional. Tears come when you become emotional. When the philosophy is very profound, it can make you very emotional. Some people, when they see the awe of emptiness, wow, it's amazing. This is the reality which I've never seen before. This is reality, right? You see the wonder of this, you become very emotional, it can make you move into tears. For example, Niels Bohr. Niels Bohr, who's Niels Bohr? One of the greatest scientists of quantum physics. What he said was that, look, you tell me, say when you're shocked by something, shocked means there's a very sharp emotional state of shock, right? Emotional state of shock. So what he said is that if you study quantum physics and if you're not shocked by it, you have not understood quantum physics as yet. Right? So this quantum physics, the moment you see that this world is very different, the quantum world is very different, you're shocked by this, you will have a shock of the emotion coming to your mind, the emotion of the shock. So that is because of the wonder that you felt, the awe that you feel to know the very fine reality of quantum physics. So the point is that finally, who we are, whether you accept it or not, the reality is that we crave for happiness, we shun the miseries. This is the basic reality. Then, on that basis, we see that this is determined by the emotional states. And emotions are determined by the cognitive thought processes. Emotions decided by the cognitive thought processes. Okay, with this in mind, how it began, this is my question to you. Okay, it's 12 sharp. My question to you before we go for tea break. Yes. Oh, could we just go just half an hour?
Yes, that was the schedule that Nicola sent me.
Okay, so that we can redo. Don't worry.
Okay.
So this was because of some reasons. Yeah, we can redo. Okay, so my question to you before you retire for tea break is that we were born crying. Why were we crying? There is a principle which governs what made us to cry. That principle within us, which is common to all of us, is that I want happiness, I don't want suffering. Do you agree with me or not? Okay, raise your hands, those who agree with me. Only if you agree, majority agrees, then we can proceed with the next class. Okay, majority agrees. If you agree with this, then next question is, okay, this is the instinct. And don't feel shy to say that, oh, it's so selfish. This is reality. We have to begin from the reality. Don't begin from the air. If you begin from the air, you have no ground. If you have no ground, you will never be able to see the castle coming up. Right? You will never see the house coming up. If you start from the air, start from the ground, solid ground, from the reality. What is my reality? Start from the air. Only then you see that I'm growing. Wow, my life. Now I see the meaning of my life. You getting it? Now I see the meaning of my life. Okay, only when you see yourself grounded. For that matter, what is very important is that don't feel shy that I'm so selfish, even how I was born was so selfish, I'm suffering, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I don't think about the other babies. Don't worry. Later on, as your study becomes more sophisticated, you will realize that a very advanced level of selfishness and very advanced level of other sharing and compassion, these two are synonymous. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that if you want happiness, practice compassion. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. Beautiful. It's beautiful. At a very advanced level, you see that the best way by which to be selfish, the wisest way to be selfish is to cherish others, to be kind to others. The wisest way to be kind to others is to be kind to yourself. It's beautiful. Initially, we see these two as separate by a vast chasm. You know, there's a gap there, selfishness and other cherishing, because that is very gross. Then later on, as you practice, as you rationalize this selfish thinking, more refined, you see that the best way by which to be selfish is to be kind to others. Then you see that these two are same, right? To be kind to yourself is to be kind to others. To be kind to others is to be kind to myself. This is a beautiful moment. Then every moment it becomes a compassionate thought process for others. It's a beautiful moment. Okay, with this, what we learn is that if the suffering is what I want to get rid of, what degree of suffering you want to get rid of, 10% or 100%? If possible, 100%. If you are seeking happiness, what degree of happiness are you seeking? 100% or 10%? If possible, 100%. Okay, so what I seek is 100% happiness and 0% suffering. The next question is it possible? Is this feasible? Is the point. So what we learned is that according to Charles Darwin, this is impossible. According to Buddha, it is possible. So to say it is not possible is very easy. To say it is impossible is very easy. For example, to say that, okay, the retreat, in the retreat place, okay, how many people stay, 5 people in one room?
3 people in one room.
Okay, then Maria says that the centers, the retreat place, the owner tells Maria then, oh, we have not enough space, 10 people should be in one room. Then Maria says, okay. Then people, she gets the applications, and then, okay, 5 of you will sleep together. No, I cannot. At the most, I can be in 3, not 5. It's too much. I never, like that. So for Maria to say, no, there's no choice. This is very easy. If she says, there's no choice, right? There's no choice, she doesn't have to work. She can say, there's no choice, I'm very sorry, right? But if she says, okay, I did not know that. I'm sorry, you want to be maximum 3 people, not 5. Okay, then I will see if there's possibility. To say I will see a possibility is hard work on her. Again, she has to go back to the owner. Whereas if you say, no, it's not possible, she doesn't have to go to the owner. You're getting it? It's very easy to say no. To say yes is difficult. Because only when you learn how to say yes, then your mind will become active. How to make it happen. When your mind becomes active, then you learn, you grow. You're getting it? So therefore the question is to say that, oh no, these negative thoughts cannot be removed, full stop. It's because of which Charles Darwin talked a lot about human evolution, but the study of the psychology is very limited. Whereas the Buddha said, yes, it's possible. To get 100% happiness is possible. To get out of suffering completely is possible. To say possible is not easy. To say yes, how possible? This is the next question. If you say no, it's not possible, nobody will say how not possible. Nobody will ask, right? So when Maria said no, it's not possible, at the most people can say, I'm sorry, then I will not come. Finish. That to help the people, number is going to be reduced. Whereas to say yes, people will be enthusiastic. People will feel you hard. And it is not easy for you. You have to go to the owner, talk to the owner. And the owner says, no, it's very difficult. Is there possibility like this, like this? You know, she can give all these options. Oh yes, it's possible. Sometimes also possible. Yes, it's also possible, right? Okay, in tennis, then the people can be more private, Oh, that's also possible. All possibilities come into being because the mind becomes active. Because of compassion. If the basic compassion is missing, it's so easy. The best way to say is, if you don't want to do it, the best way to say is, it's not possible. You will not grow. Others will not benefit it. So the Buddha said, yes, it's possible. Because to say yes, then people ask how. The moment the Buddha says, somebody asks the how, then the Buddha has to explain on the basis of the psychology. You're getting it? So the Buddha said that this happiness, infinite happiness with zero suffering, is not outside. It is within each one of us. It's already there within each one of us. Whether you're Buddhist, not Buddhist, no, only if you're a Buddhist you have it. Non-Buddhist, you don't have it. This is not the truth. This is not the truth. Everybody has it, whether you are a believer of Buddhism, not believer of Buddhism, even if you don't believe in any religion, even in you have this potential. The seed of the perfection of happiness, seed of the perfection where the suffering is zero, it is there within you. Right? How do you know that? This is the next question. I know you will ask this question. How do you know that? This we will do after the tea. Okay, tea break.
And at what time do we resume?
Okay, so today we will follow this, and then this same schedule. Today we will follow this, and this evening two of us will sit together, rework on this. This schedule because because of some problem there. Yeah, so we can redesign it. Because group discussion, if you make it 1 hour, that's more productive rather than half an hour.
Yeah, and the afternoon one is, or there is another one which is 1 hour.
There should be 3.
Yeah, there is only this one which is half an hour. The others are longer.
Yes.
Yeah, but for now, discussion groups, 40.
Yeah, tea, group discussion, whatever you like.
Yeah, okay. So.
You can